Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another Core Python session. I hope you all are here. How's everything going on? How was the last two sessions?
Not bad. Good.
Okay, great. Great. So, before we start today's session, is there anything you want to ask from previous sessions? Is there any? Thanks a lot, Mr. Omer. I'm also doing good. Is there a particular part of last two sessions that you didn't understand? You feel a little confused, or you have some questions about them? Is there any particular part of last two sessions? If there is, you can let me know. Okay. I think we have waited enough. We waited 5 minutes. Today, I am feeling a little down, unfortunately. That's why I will not be able to turn on the camera, but we will continue with the presentation, with the screen, I mean. Okay. So, let's start the session without further ado. In yesterday's session, if you remember, in yesterday's session, what do you guys remember from the previous session? Yesterday, what topics did we talk about? I want to see how many of you guys do remember the topics we covered yesterday. It can be a sentence, it can be a word, okay? Anything that you guys remember from the previous session. Variables and data types. Okay. What else? Data types. Great. Great. Maybe some sentences. Yes. We also talked about PEP 8, right? Great. What else? Types of data, right? What else? What else do you guys remember from the previous session? String. Yes, we had some operations with strings. Great. What else? Data conversions. We started with data conversions toward the end of, we talked about Booleans as well. Great. What else? Floats. Yep. Data types such as Boolean, string, integer, float. Great. Awesome. What else? What about others? I see some of you guys, I don't know if you're not able to write in Slack channel, or maybe you're only following through the Zoom meeting, but I think it's better to participate in the messages. It's better to, yep, we talked about how to write a million big digit numbers, right? Some of you guys, it's better if you write at least a couple of things. Okay, I want to see how many of you guys actively listen and remember the previous sessions, and how many of you guys actually engage during the session. I want to see. Okay. So yeah. Great. Thank you very much, everyone, for the messages. Now let's start the session. As usual, let's open Visual Studio Code. Have maybe a 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes revision we can have. Okay, this is the October release, no problem. So we started yesterday's session with a little bit of application of these, how to write strings, right? We started yesterday's session with these different types of strings. How can we write different types of strings, right? Yesterday's session, we started with these two, right? We said that we can create strings with single quotation marks, doubles. These are one pair of quotation marks, right? Whenever we are using these only one pair of quotation mark, whenever we are creating a string with only one pair of quotation mark, what does it mean? It means I'm creating a string of one line. I cannot move to the second or third line. I cannot create a long string. Okay. So whenever you want to create, or I want to create a string of multiple lines, what we have to do is we have to create it with three pairs of quotation marks. It can be three pairs of single quotation mark, three pair of double quotation mark, right? We talked about this. Here we have multiple example of them. We talked about pipette rules. What are these? These are the style guides that helps us write clear and concise codes. What else? Then we talked about variables. We said that variable are like a container. They are like a storage. They are like boxes that stores, that saves data inside them. Right? We said that variables in Python are like containers or storages that stores data inside them. It can be any type of data. I can store a string data, an integer data, a float data, a Boolean, any type of data that you can think of. I can store it inside a variable. Okay. All I have to do in order to declare a variable is give a name and assign a data to it. That's it. This is how we declare a variable in Python. This is how we do it, right? This is how we declare a variable in Python, okay? And the good thing about variable is that it's going to store whatever data we provided, and whenever I need it, okay, whenever I need it, I can just call the variable name and it's going to give the data it has been storing. See, like this. This data can be the age of a customer. This data can be name of a person. This data can be a quote. Okay, this data can be a list of materials I have to buy. Okay, this variable. Okay. What else? What else? I said that I can only call a variable if I have declared that. See, I declared the bootcamp variable. I assign some value to it. Here is declaring a variable. I can only call a variable that I have declared. See, I haven't declared course yet. Not able to call it. Here, I'm assigning some value to this course variable. Now it's possible to call it whenever I want. The difference between, see, whenever I write anything inside the quotation marks, Python will consider it as strings or texts. Strings or text. These are just normal texts or strings. Okay, just normal text. Okay, even if I write a function, a variable, any type of data, a number, if it's written inside the quotation marks, Python will think of them as a string, as a text data. So whatever I write over here, even if I write a mathematical operation like this, Python is not going to perform anything, any operation based on what's written here. It only considers it as a text, as a string. Okay, I can declare a variable that can have different types of data. It can store a text data like a string. It can store a float data. It can store an integer data, any type of data you can think of. Now, whenever you're declaring a variable, make sure that name of your variable is following some rules. What are the rules that variable names has to follow? The first one, variable names can be short, can be long, no problem. But variable names can only start with an alphabetic character or an underscore. This is the first rule. This is the first law that it has to abide. Second one, variable's name can contain numbers, but not at the beginning. Whenever you're declaring a variable, the variable's name can actually contain a number. For example, in here, see, containing a number. But you cannot start a variable's name with a number, like this one, see? Python doesn't allow it. Another rule. Variable's name cannot contain any type of special character whatsoever apart from underscore. You can see underscore is the only special character Python allows as inside the name of a variable. Here I tried dash dot one. Okay, Python doesn't allow any special character in variables names. Another thing we talked about yesterday was that Python is a case-sensitive language. So here I'm declaring two variables. Both of them are pronounced the same way. Name tree. There is an underscore separating the name and the tree, but there is a difference that the first variable is written with a small n. The second one is written with a capital N. Because Python is a case-sensitive language, so Python thinks of both of these variables as separate variables. They are not the same. Okay, why? Because they are written in with different letters. Okay. What else? And then we also said that the names of variables, they cannot contain special words or function names like this one. See, I cannot declare a variable. I shouldn't declare a variable with these names. Why? Because like yesterday we performed over here, it can cause problems. See? Print is a function. I use print function to perform an operation, to show an output, to give an output, to print an output, right? That's what I do. But if I declare a variable with the same name, and now I no longer have my print function. See, usually if you're calling a function, when you're calling a function, Python will print the information about that specific function, right? That's what it does. But here you can see that I declare the variable with the same name, with the print name. Whenever I want to perform the print operation, Python gets confused. Python thinks that we have this Python thinks that I am calling print variable, not the print function. This is the problem with these, with this one. Okay. And whenever by mistake, if you declare a variable with the same name as a function, with the same name as a special Python words like these ones, operations and expressions in Python. Okay. If you do so, then you can delete that variable whenever you want using this del function. Okay. So let's continue. Then we talked about how can we declare multiple variables at the same time, right? How can we declare multiple variables at the same time? And then we talked about different data types. We have 4 types of data, string. These are basic data types, basic raw data types, right? The first one is string. Well, anything written in text format is called a string. Integer, whole numbers, float, decimal numbers, booleans. We have 2 expressions, only true and false. That's it. Okay. This is all the thing we did yesterday. Now I want to start with today's session. Okay, so let's create another file. I'll say for today, 10 October 13, 30th of October 2024, third session dot IPYNB. So let's create the new file and let's start today's session. Okay, I think this much revision is enough. Okay, let me add it over here. Oh, great. So I have the new file. I have the new notebook. Now let's start with today's session. Okay, so for today, I want to create a new topic. Okay, although yesterday we had a little bit of introduction on this, but we didn't talk about it in depth. So I will create type conversion. How can we convert the type of a data? How can we convert the type of a data? What do I mean with this one? See, first, let's see. See, we have many functions in Python, okay? We have many functions in Python that can be used to convert the type of a data. Yesterday, we saw 4 basic data types, right? The first one was a str string, integer, float data. See, now if I want to convert a data, I have a data like, let's say 43. It's an integer. But if I want to convert it to a text, like I want to write it as a text. See, the difference, see, both of these are, we have 43 over here, 43 over here. Both of them are numerical data in a way, but what is the difference between them? The difference is that this is an integer. I can perform mathematical operation on an integer data. Why? Because it's a number. But if I have this numerical data, 43, as a string here, I cannot perform any type of mathematical operation on it. This is one of the main differences of them. Okay? This is one of the main differences over here. Okay? So, how can we convert one data type into another? So for each one of them, to convert a data into a string, any type of data you have, whether you have a number, whether you have a float data, whether you have a Boolean data, whatever type of data you have, if you want to convert it, change it to a string, we have str function. str function is used to convert a type of data into a string. Okay, and then we have integer. Consider this decimal number. Okay, consider this decimal number. For example, we have 5 0.976. This is a float data. Okay, this is a floating data. It's a decimal data, right? It's a decimal data. I only need the integer part of it. It's a floating data. I only want the integer part of it. I don't care about the decimal points. So I have to change it. I have to convert it into an integer. How do we convert any type of data into an integer? We have the int function. Or what if I have a numerical data like 45, but it's written in string format? See, it's written in string format. Now, I have a numerical data, but it is in this string format. If it is in this string format, it means I cannot perform mathematical operation on this, right? I have to change it. I have to change it. For example, I have this text. The average age of employees of the company is 35. See, I have this text data. I have this text data. And this is a fact, let's say. Okay, this is an information. Now I have another question. What is the question? Question says, if the age of manager is twice as much as the average age of employees, what is the age of manager? Okay, see here I have a text. This text is giving me some information. What is the information? Information says the average age of employees of our company is 35. Okay. If the age of manager is twice as much as this average age, what is the age of our manager? Okay, I have this mathematical question, but first I have to select this number, the average age of employees, right? I have to select this one. Now, age of employees here, it's in string format. Average age equals 35, but in string format. Okay, it's in string format. If I want to find the age of manager, what is age of manager? Age of manager equals 2 times average age. 2 times 35. But the problem here is 35 is a text. It's not a number, right? It's not a number. So first I have to change it into a number, into an integer. How do I do that? There is the int function. We have the int function. Okay, using the int function, we can convert it from a string data into an integer. Okay, so we have 4 functions. The first function, string. Second function, str, int, float, and bool. Okay, we have 4 functions. This one is used to convert other data types to string, other data types to integer, other data types to float, other data types to Boolean. Okay, so let's start with strings. How can I convert other data types to a string? The good thing about strings is, or str function is, that you can convert any type of data into a string. You can convert any type of data, whether it's an integer like 45, you can convert it to a string, it will be 45. If you have a float data, for example, 5.921, If you convert it into a string, it will become 5.921. It's a string. If we have, for example, a Boolean, when you convert it to a string, it will become. Okay, so this is the good thing about str function or string function, that you can convert any type of data into a string. For example, here, let me change this one to a Python code. Now, let's start. I have a variable called age, and the age is, let's say, 65. Run it on Python. See, I declare the variable. What is this variable? It is age variable. The value is 65. And it is an integer. How do I know if it's an integer? We have the type function, right? Using type function, we can check the type of an object. See, what is the data type of age? It's integer. See, 65 is a number. It's an integer. Great. Now, what if I say age 1 equals, what if I say something like this? If I say str age, I am saying, I'm asking Python to convert this age. See, age was 65. Convert it to a string. See, you can see when it was an integer, it used to be just the number. When I converted it into a string, now we also have these quotation marks. Okay. Now, if I say, see, if I say, what is the type of str65? See, I said that I can convert this age variable. It used to have integer data. It was an integer data type. I can convert it to a string using str function. Now I'm checking whether that is actually the case or not, whether the type of data actually got changed or not. Run, see, it says it's a string. It is a string. Okay, great. Let's continue. Let us continue. Now, but I told you that when I performed this operation, see, I performed this operation. I performed this operation. I told you that I can use str function to convert the type of a data. To convert the type of a data. You can see here that it got changed. The data type converted. But what if I call age variable once again? See? Now it looks like the type is an integer. The type is an integer. So whenever you are converting, whenever you're performing a data conversion, whenever you're performing data conversions using these functions, the change, the effect will not be permanent. It will only be visible once. Okay? Only over here. If you want to change the type of data of a variable, if you want to create a permanent change, you have to reassign the converted data to the same variable. What do I mean with this one? See, I'm saying change the age variable from integer to a string, and I will say make it permanent. What do I mean? See, I have to, if I want to make this type conversion, if I if I want to make this change permanent, if I want to make this change visible, okay, I have to reassign. I have to make this change permanent. I have to say, first change the data type and save it back to same variable. See, now if I perform this operation, run it, you can see that if I call age, see, now it's a string. Now it is a string. Now if I call type age, you can see now it's a string. Now it is a string. Okay, great. Let's continue. For example, how can I have this variable called country code. It's an integer. Can you guys write a code? How can I change its data type to a string and make this change permanent? Let's see. How can I make this change permanent? Yep. Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Omer, that's another way. Thank you very much. Let's see. Okay. So everybody thinks the same way. Let me copy one of your codes. See, run this one. And if I say country code equals to string of it, if I run it, see, it got changed to string. Thank you very much, everyone. Now, we changed a integer to a string. Now let's try it. Now let's try the same thing with a float number, pi, 3.14. If I check the data type of pi, you can see that it's a floating data type. Now, can anyone write? Okay, Ms. Archana says, this is how you convert it. I don't want to convert it to integer right now. Right now, we are only trying string. Other data types to string, not integer. Okay, then this time we have the string function. Thank you very much. So let's go over here. Let's try it with this. Okay. So if I call pi, you can see that now even the dot, even the decimal point is part of the string, right? Even this is part of. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Vidya. Okay, let's continue. So what about this one? See, if I say the type of pi is now, it's a string. I changed it. I converted it into a string. What about this one? What if we have something like this? What if we have something like this? What is the type of this one? 3.14. What happens if I run this code? Does anyone have any idea what happens if I run this code? Let's see. Okay, someone says float. And then Ms. Archana says it is a tuple. Ms. Julia says error. Why will I get error. Miss Julia. Okay, someone else. Ilkin also says that it's a tuple. Comma. Comma. Because of comma, I will get an error. See, what is the purpose of type function? Type function, the purpose of this one is it detects the type of a data. We have these data, okay? If I run it, I will get an error, but you can see that type argument, see, type function takes 1 or 3 arguments. You can see here I give 2 arguments. In Python, the decimal datas or float datas are written with a dot. So whenever you see a comma, comma means separation. Comma in Python shows separation. It means I am separating two arguments. We have one argument over here. We have another argument over here. It means I have 2 arguments. And Python says it's a type error. Okay? See? It takes 1 or 3 arguments. We cannot give 2 arguments to this one. Let's try with 3 arguments. Copy, paste. If I say something like this, run. See? Even here, there is a problem. See, comma in Python shows, okay, this is the comment line, right? We have a problem over here. You can see that even if I give 3 arguments, Python will give an error. Why? Because type function takes only 1 argument. Don't forget that. The type function takes only 1 argument. Only 1 argument, not 2, not even 3, only 1 argument. We have, if I provide 2 argument, 3 argument, doesn't matter, Python will not accept it. Okay? Python will not accept it. By the way, why? See, it looks like a tuple, right? It looks like a tuple. We have 2 elements separated with a comma. So why type function didn't say it's a tuple? The reason is because copy tuples are given inside a parenthesis. Now, if I run it, it says it's a tuple. See, tuple is written inside a parenthesis or bracket. Don't forget this one, okay? Tuple is a collective data type, a collection of data type. For example, here I have a collection of numbers. Okay, I have a collection of numbers. Tuple, right now, no need to talk about tuple. Okay, no need to talk about tuple. Tuple we will see after maybe 2 or 3 days. Okay, after 2 or 3 days, we will talk about tuples later on. Right now, this much is enough. Okay. Yeah, tuple is a collection of data like this one. Argument are these ones. See? Elements. Elements are arguments. How many elements you want to provide? How many elements you want to provide? It means the number of elements. That's it. Okay? Yeah, you're welcome. So let's continue. What about this one? I'm still in type conversion. Still, I want to convert other data types to a string. For example, I have this x variable called false, y variable called true. I write a code, that converts the data type of x and y to strings. Let's see who can write it. Let's see if someone can write a code that converts this x to a string, y to a string. Let's see. Write a code to change data type. These are booleans, right? See, these are boolean right now. Run. Type x, it's a boolean, and type y, it's also a boolean. How can I change it to a string? See here, if you remember, this is how we converted a float to a string. How can I apply that logic over here? Let's see. Hmm. That's one of the ways. That's one of the ways. See? Okay. See, Miss Julia says, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. X equals to string of x. Y equals string of y. Miss Julia says, this is how you do it. See, if I run it, now if I check the type of x variable, it's a string. Type y. Ilkin, the code you have written is correct. That's good. That's good. But there is a problem. See, whenever you see here, I have a variable x and y, right? They have data types true and false. These are the datas. But here what you have done, you have assigned the string of x to another variable, to k. If you want to make a change permanent, you have to back assign it to the same variable. Now it's much better, and the code you provided, Ilkin, is a really good one because you're practicing declaring multiple variables in the same line. So I congratulate you for that. It's good that you remember this part. If I run it, you can see I had this variable called x and y, and I then converted them, changed them to a string. Okay? So if I call x, see, it's false. If I say the type of x string. It's no longer a boolean. Okay, so let's continue. Now let's talk about how can we convert a string to integer and float data. Now this part is a little bit tricky. This part is a little bit tricky. Sir Arun says, okay, that's really good. Thank you very much, Mr. Arun. So now let's talk about this part. How can I convert see, we saw examples of other datas. How can we convert other data types to a string? We have str function. You can convert any type of data to a string. But when it comes to converting a string into other data types like integer and a float, see, if I want to convert a string data, a text data into an integer or a floating data, there are some criteria. For example, I have this string. Now, I have this string, right? If I want to convert it, if I say convert this name to an integer, if I ask Python to change or to convert this text into an integer, I will get an error. Why? Because there aren't any numerical data present over here. See, it's just a text, alphabetical data. I cannot convert an alphabetical data. Into an integer. See, I cannot also convert it into a float data. See, you cannot convert string to float. This string cannot be converted into a float or an integer. What about this one? Year birth equals 1999. Okay, so this is a birth year. It's written in string format, but it is a numerical data. Now, see, if I check the type of it, Python says it's a string data. Now, if I want to convert it, into an integer, see, if I say integer year birth, see, it is 1999. Now it's an integer format. It's no longer in string format. See, here it used to be see, I have this variable called year birth. If I check the data type of it, it's a string. You can see if it's a string, it is in string format. It has these quotation marks, right? But if I want to convert it into an integer, it is possible. So string data, a number in string format can be converted to an integer or a float. See, even if I have, see, these type of strings, a string that is in numerical format, these can be converted into an integer using int function. But it only has to be a numerical data. Okay, see, for example, see, I want to convert it into a floating data. Okay, if I want to convert it into a floating data, for example, if I say float of year born, see, now I converted this data into floating data, right? Now it's a floating data. It's a decimal number, right? It's a decimal number. I can do it only, see, why I was able to do it? Because all of these digits are in numerical format. It doesn't have any special character. It doesn't have an alphabetic character. So a whole number, it's a whole number, right? It's 1999. It's a whole number. In string format can be converted to an integer or a float. Okay. Now, if I add something like this, if I say, okay, if I say year born 1 equals 1999 8. If I add an alphabetic character, and now if I try to see year born 1 is 1999 8. Now if I want to convert this one to an integer, see, I want to convert this one to an integer. Not possible. If I try to convert it to a floating data, once again, not possible. What if I add a special character like this one? Year born 2 equals 1999 at. See, I have another variable. This time we have a special character. If I try to convert it into an integer, once again, it's not possible. If I try to convert it to a float data, not possible. So a whole number in string format can be converted to an integer or a float only if and only if it doesn't contain alphabetic character, let's say, okay, only if it doesn't contain any alphabetic or special character, we can convert it into an integer or float. Okay, what about this one? Mile equal, for example, 1 point, let's say 6 kilometers. Okay, 1.6. I have this decimal number or a float data in string format. What if I have a floating data like this one, which is in string format? Now, if I try to convert it to integer, If I try to convert this one into integer, what will happen? What do you think will happen if I try to convert something like this into an integer? Let's see, what do you guys think? Okay, someone says 1. Okay, what about others? Error because it's not integer. Mr. Arun. Arun says 1. Ilkin says 1. Sorry, Archana says 1. Nilufer 2. Miss Tayo says 2. 2. Ilkin says 1. Now, see, if I run it, I'm going to get an error. Why? Because, see, this is in string format. If you have a decimal number in string format, this decimal point int function thinks that this decimal point is a special character. That's why it doesn't work. See, we cannot directly convert it to an integer. We cannot directly convert it into an integer, but if I try to convert it to float, it's possible. Okay? It is possible to, but possible to convert it to a float. Why we can convert it to a float? Because originally it's a float. This is the only special character. This is the only special character of a string float function recognizes. Okay. So decimal point, meaning this one, is the only special character float function recognizes. Okay, that's one thing. So if I want to convert this string into an integer, okay, a float data in string format can be converted to an integer indirectly. We first have to convert it to a float. This is the only way we can convert it to an integer. We have to first convert it to a float data like this one. Copy integer. Now I can convert a string data indirectly. We have to convert it to, now it's possible. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone, up until now. And if you have any question, please let me know. If you don't have any question right now, we can go to break. And after the break, we can continue. Any function available in Python to pick and give only one number from? Any function in Python to pick and give only one number. There is a module, a library called a random, Maybe we can do with that. Okay, there is a module called a random. It's possible to generate a random number, okay, with that one. Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see any other question relevant to today's. Can I see the last part, please? Definitely. Let me send this to you. That's really good, Mr. Umair. Maybe we can talk about it at the end of the class, or maybe you can share your project to me. Okay. So let's go to break. We can go to break. We can go to break. After the break, I'll see you guys. Miss Nilofer, do you want to ask something? Okay, great then. Great. Let me stop the recording. And I'll see you guys after 10 minutes. Okay, let's continue, everyone. I hope yeah. So I hope you all are back from the break. If you are, can you react to this message so that we can continue with the second session? Okay. Can everyone react to this message so that we can continue with the rest of sessions? Okay, I think some of you guys are back. Let me, okay. Okay. Welcome everyone back. Welcome back everyone to another session, another Core Python session. Today's second session. Okay. So let's continue the conversation on type conversions. How can we convert the type of one data into another, right? So let me open the notebook. We saw the example or examples of how can we convert other data types into string, other data types to string, and how can we convert a string data into an integer and float. Now let's talk about the type conversion between integer and float. Now let's talk about this one. How can we convert an integer into a float data and a floating data into an integer? Okay, how can we do that? Okay, so integer and floating data, right? Let me int float data, this one from Python to Markdown because it's a subtitle, right? It's a subtitle. Let me send it to you guys as well. And here, if you guys need it. Okay, let's continue. See, integers are integers. Integer, let me change it back to Python. This one delete, this one delete. See, integer are just a whole number, right? It's a whole number like 5, 4, 3, 22, -5. We can convert them. By the way, before we talk about this one, a couple more examples I want to show you. We saw how can we convert a string data to integer and float. Now comes this one. What if a string, can I convert a string like this? It's a string, but this time we have a negative integer. If I run it, see, I can convert it into an integer. I can also convert it -90. I can also convert it to a floating data. And once again, if I have -90.23, it's a float negative, but in string format. If I try to convert it to a float data, once again, it's possible. But once again, if I try to convert a negative float data written in string format, if I try to convert it into an integer, not possible. Why? Int function considers the decimal point as special character if it is inside a, if it is in string formats. Okay, it will be considered as a special character. This is the problem of int function. Okay, now coming on to integers. If we are talking about integers like 5, -20, 1,000,000, if I try to convert it into a floating data, Python will only add a 0.0 decimal point. Okay, this is the only thing Python adds, right? Because see, this is a whole number. For example, I have this integer like 45, and if I try to convert it to a float, because it's a whole number, doesn't have decimal or fraction part. That's why what it does, because it doesn't have a fraction and it is a complete or a whole number, it adds the decimal part as 0. Because it doesn't have any fraction, it doesn't have smaller parts. For example, I have this variable called age. Age is, let's say, 26. And you can see that the type of age variable is integer. Now what I will do, I will convert it into a floating data. See, age equals, convert it to float. I'm converting it into a float data and I'm making the change permanent. When you assign a change back to itself, it means you're making the change permanent. When we assign a change back to the same variable, it means we are making the change permanent. Now, if I call age, you can see age is now in floating format. Now it is in decimal format. Okay, now it is in decimal format. Even if I check its type, it's in floating format. So integer to float is very easy, right? Now let's talk about float to integer. Float data into integers. For example, we have this data 5.8. I have this variable called x, right? If I call it 5.8, if I check its type, it says it's a float data. It's a floating data. Okay. So whenever I convert a floating like this, floating data like this one into an integer. It just takes the integer part, the whole number part. It doesn't perform round operation. It doesn't perform round operation. It doesn't round it to the closest number. It is closer to 6, right? We are not performing rounding operation. We are only selecting the integer. Okay. So while converting a float or float data to an integer, we are not rounding. We simply select the integer part of the number. That's it. This is the only operation we are performing. While converting a data, while converting a floating data into an integer, we are just selecting the integer part, and that's it. What about this one? For example, I want to convert this 5.99999. If I try to convert it, see, it is very, very close to 6. Still 5. For example, integer 5.12345678910. I have 10 nines, still it's 5. Copy, paste. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 15 nines back to back. If I convert it to integer, it is still 9. It is still 9. Up to 15 back to back digits still takes only takes the integer part, doesn't round it up. It doesn't perform rounding operation. It doesn't perform rounding operation. But if I go above 15, if I go above 15, 9, after 15, it will round it to 6. It's not necessary information to know, but just I wanted to make sure that int function doesn't matter how much the integer is close to another number, how much it's close to 6. See, it's extremely close to 6. But when we perform int operation, we are simply selecting this one. Okay? Only after 16 back to back digits. Okay? If I change the last one, for example, if I change the last one to 0, still 5. If I change the last one to 5, sorry, 5, still 5. If I exceed this limit, then it will round it up to 6. Is it a very important information to know? No, but I think it's better to at least uh, know it. Okay. Mm, what else? What else? Now I will ask you two questions. First one, what is the integer of 22 divided by 7? What is the result of this operation? Let's see. Okay, we have 3, 3. Okay. Mr. Aaron, Miss Julia, you guys say 3. What about others? Kubranur also says 3. What about others? Umair says 3. What about others? Miss Tayo, 3. Okay. Nilüfer also says 3. Let's run it. See? What happened here? What happened here is Python first performs this operation. 22 divided by 7. 3 times 7, 21. We have 1. 1 divided by 7, 1. Okay. 0.7. We have 3 divided by 7, 4. 28. Okay. Like this, it keeps continuing. Like this, it keeps continuing. Okay. So when the result is 3.142, something like that. Okay. So when we convert it to integer, see, the result of this operation is a floating data, 3.14 something. When we convert it to integer, the result will be 3. What about this one? What if I say something like this? If I say 3.14, what is the result of this operation? How many of you can correctly? Okay, someone says 3.0. Let's see if we get different answers. Let's see. 3.0. We have 3.0. 3.0 again. Visually also says 3.0. Nilüfer, Kübranur, Elkin, everybody says 3.0. 3.0. Yes. How is it 3.0? First, say Python performs this operation. We have a decimal number. Okay. Decimal number, we are converting it into integer. So when I convert this part into integer, the result will be just 3. So what I am left with is float of 3. Now I'm converting number 3 into a integer 3 into a floating data. So now my new number is 3.0. Whenever you're converting an integer into a floating data, it only adds a point. That's it. Okay. So some of you might think that it remembers 3.14, so it will be after the result of this will be 3.14. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So the operations in Python starts from innermost part to outermost. Okay. It's like step by step, step by step. Okay. For example, say the first step is integer of 3.14 will be 3. So now I have float of 3. What is float of 3? 3.0. 3.0, that's it. Okay. So let's continue. Now let's talk about this one. Mark down here, and we have Boolean to integer and floating data. Boolean into integer and floating data. Okay, for example, I have this one. I have this variable called x equals true. We have y equals false. We have these two booleans. Okay, we have these two booleans. See, even if I check the type of X, it's a boolean. And if I check the data type of Y, once again, it's a boolean. Okay, now the important thing come here. See, true means when something is present. Okay, false means absence. False means nothingness. True means something, at least something is present. Okay, they are the opposite of each other. True means yes, false means no. True means positive, false means negative. Okay, so when we try to convert these into numbers, into integers, into floats, Python converts them based on their meaning. True means when there is something present. Okay, it means when there is something present. So for this one, for presence, we have 1. For absence, for nothingness, we have 0. So whenever you're converting them into integer, see, I want to convert X into integer. It will be 1. If I try to convert X into a float data, once again, 1. If I try to convert Y, which is false, see, Y is false. So if I say, if I try to convert Y into an integer, Python says 0. Okay, see, if I try to convert, Y into a float data, once again, it will be 0. Okay, that's it. That is it. This is how we perform it. Okay, so I hope you understood this part. Do you have any question regarding Boolean or the previous session? How can we convert integers and float data? No question? Okay, so now we talk about the most important part of conversions. We will talk about the most important part of data type conversions. Okay, we'll talk about this one. All data types, meaning what? String, integer, float data, converting them into a Boolean. See, whenever we try to convert something into a Boolean, the conversion of a data into a Boolean is like a test. It's like a test. For example, I have a string like this, hello. When I try to convert this one into a Boolean, I'm actually asking if there is something present or not. If there is something present or not. If there is a value over here or not. If there is a value, it will be true. If there is no value, it will be false. If there is emptiness, if there is nothingness, it will be false. That's it. Okay? So this is how we convert data. For example, check this one. Let's start with integers. What if I try to convert a small number like 30. True. Why? Because it has some value. What about this one? Boolean of a big number like 1 million. True. Why? Because it has some value, some meaning. A very, very small number like 0.00001. True. Why? It has some value. What if I try a negative number like a Boolean of negative 9,876, 90,000? True. Why? Even if it's negative, it has some value. Okay. So when we are trying to convert other datas into a Boolean, we are actually checking whether they have value or not. But if I try a very small number, like a Boolean of negative 0.000004, very, very small number. True. What about this one? A Boolean of 5678. True. If I say 0.908, once again true. All of these are holding some value, whether it is small, whether it is big, whether it is positive or negative, doesn't matter. If it has some value, it will be positive. The only case it will be false is void, nothingness, like 0. See? Ilkin, I think you wrote in live channel, maybe. Yep. See, when we try to convert, uh, no problem at all. See, when we are trying to convert numerical data, whether it is an integer, whether it's a float data, whether it's a positive or negative, small or big, if it has value, it will be true. Only in two cases in numerical data, only in two cases in numerical data, it will be false when it is 0 and 0.0. These are the only cases in numerical data where we get the result as false. Okay. Only in void, nothingness, absence, or no value, we will get false. That's it. Another case of it, another case would be this one. Another one should be Boolean of an empty bracket. False. An empty curly brackets. False. Boolean of bigger one. False. Why? Because these mean nothingness. There is no element, there is no value, nothing is present over there. These are the only cases where we will get, see? And one last one. What about strings? What about strings? Okay, see this one. In strings, only if we have, only if we have an empty string, then only it is false. See, run it. Once again, we have an empty string. This string, inside this one, we don't have any special character. We don't have any alphabetic character. We don't have any number. So it doesn't have a value. It doesn't have any meaning. That's why in this case, we will get false. Okay. In this case, we will get false. What about this one? What about, oh, sorry. What about this one? See, if I add a couple letters, if I add only one letter, if I have a very big string, if I have numerical data, if I have some special characters, like in all the cases, it will be true. Only when there is nothingness, when there is void, when there is no value, when there is absence of data, in these cases only, the result will be false. Apart from this, every time it will be true. Even in this case, if I have just a space, an empty space, run, even here, even in an empty space, we have some value. There is presence of data or value. Okay. Apart from these cases, when there is empty string, empty brackets, 0 and 0.0, only in these cases. When we convert them into Boolean, we get false. Otherwise, in all the other cases, it will be true. See, convert here, our goal is to convert or change data type from one into another. I want to convert this one, change this one into a Boolean. We saw how can we change one data into a string, into an integer, into float. What if we change all the other data types? What if I try to change a string, an integer, a float into Boolean? Whenever we are changing these data to Booleans, okay? Whenever we are changing these data into Booleans, this Boolean conversion is actually a test whether there is a value or not. If there is a value, doesn't matter positive, negative, small or big. Okay. If there is some data, some value, even if it's negative, even if it's positive, it will be true. True means it's a true Boolean. It's a true data. It has some value. Okay. See, in order to get our goal is to, I am not trying to get false. I want to check what type of data. See, these are called, I am checking what type of data are truthy data. These are called truthy and falsy. We will talk about truthy and falsy in coming days. What type of data is a truthy data? What type is that? falsy data. This is what I want to check, Mr. Hussein. Okay, see, I want to check what type of string data, what type of integer data, what type of float data is truthy, what type of these data is falsy. Falsy when it's only 0. Falsy only when there is a empty string. It doesn't have any character over here. Truthy means if there is a value. Positive integer, negative integer, doesn't matter, truthy. Small integer, big integer, doesn't matter, truthy. String, short string, big string, doesn't matter. All of it is truthy. Truthy meaning it has some values. Okay, see, to get false, do we need to identify? We never identify it. Okay, we don't identify it at all. These are, see, these are already, Python already knows about this. I'm not doing anything over here. I'm not changing anything. I am just checking. I'm just checking. See, in strings, in text, we have a lot of different texts, right? We have infinite types of strings. It can be one character like A, B, C, D, right? Special character. All of these are string. It can be a very long A like this. It can be a long string. Integer. It can be a positive integer, negative integer. It has a long list, range, float. I have millions, billions, even infinite float data. I have infinite integer. I have infinite string. So out of all of these infinite data that we have over here, which one is a true Boolean? Which one is a false Boolean? I'm checking that one. Okay, out of infinite string, out of infinite integer and float data, only these cases are false. Apart from that, everything else is true. I hope it's clear now, Mr. Hussein. If there is any other question you have. Okay. What do you mean by not included? İlkin, let's see. Yes. Yep. I forgot that one. I forgot that one. We have Boolean none. See, it's a type of data. None is a type of data. This is also false. Let me take this one. Let's see over here. This is another one. Thank you very much, İlkin. See, none means, once again, nothingness, right? What if we try bool null? Do we have null? Do we have none? We don't have this, right? So we have only this much. None. I forgot about none. Thank you very much once again for that part. Okay, before we start the arithmetic operations, I want to show one more thing. With rent function, I can bring as many data as many and as diverse data as I want. See, what do I mean with this one? I can use print function to bring any type of data I want. Okay, it can be a string like this. Hello all, hello all. We are starting the class at now, comma, this is a string. At the end of a string, I want to comma, add one more thing. See, you can bring any type of data you want, different data, integer, string. Make sure to separate them with a comma. For example, instead of this one, I can bring a string, an integer, a boolean, or once again, this is a sample text. Run, see? You can bring any type of data you want using a print function. Make sure to separate them with a comma. If you don't separate them with a comma, like this one, see, Python will think, see, Python will give you an error. Make sure to separate different data with a comma. Or if I do something like this, copy, paste, if I say, if I don't bring comma between these two, run, see, it says separate this number with this one. Copy, paste, if I say something like this, let's say, what about this one? Still an error. Why? Because you cannot separate, even if they are integer, you have to separate them with a comma. You have to separate them with a comma. The only time you can, the only time you are allowed to not put a comma is when you have a string. When you have a string. This is the only time in strings, or if we have strings, we do not need to separate them with a comma. Why? Because Python thinks started here all the way till here, we have one string. The string is closed, right? The string is closed over here. And then it sees another opening. The moment it sees another opening, it adds this one at the end of it. This is the only time Python allows it. Python allows it. It is called concatenation. We will talk about concatenation some other day. Today it's not the time. It's like adding two things, merging two things. Okay. They are just separated with these ones. Okay. Or let me, if I say string, and you can see this is, let's say this is a string. Okay. See, the name string in Python comes from these strings. Okay. So it's like cutting from here until here, and then another string starts, right? Strings you can add, you can join strings. You can create a knot over here. Okay, even if they are cut, you can create a knot. No knot. You can create a knot. See, you can create, even if they're separated, you don't have to separate strings with a comma. You don't have to separate strings with a comma. Why? Python thinks all of the strings are together. Okay? Python thinks that all of the strings are together. So that's why we don't have to separate them with a comma. Okay, so this is it for the second session. If you don't have any question, we can go to break. Any questions you have? Anything you want to ask regarding type conversions? Okay. It, it looks like there is no question. Let me pause the recording and let's go to break. I'll see you guys after 10 minutes of break. Uh, Hi everyone. I hope you all are back from the break. Let me know. Let me know if you all are here. This is the third session. Today's last session. Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone, for responding. Okay, that's really good. It's really good that you all are here. Okay. I want to see some more messages, some more reactions. There are some of our friends who are very silent. They are in silent mode, unfortunately. Okay. So, hi everyone, once again to the to today's third session or last session. In this third session, we are going to talk about arithmetic operations in Python. How can we perform arithmetic operations, mathematical operations in Python? Okay, so should we continue? Can I get some more messages, reactions from those who usually they don't message? There are some of our friends who don't message in Slack. Can I get a couple of messages? Okay, thank you very much, Miss Julia. And okay, I think they are in listening mode once again. Okay, so now we will talk about arithmetic operations or mathematical operations in Python. In Python. Okay, so arithmetic operations. How can we perform arithmetic operations in Python, like addition, like subtraction, like multiplication, like division. We have another one called floor division, modulo. Last one is exponents. These are different operations. These are different operations we can perform in Python. Okay, these are different mathematical or arithmetic operations we can perform in Python. Okay, so starting from addition, let's say I want to add two numbers, 5 plus 4 plus 5, 9. This is addition, right? Addition. Or 90.453 plus 0.67454. Addition. Or 0.098 plus 980. Right? This is addition. This is how we add numbers in Python. Another one, subtraction. Okay. 5 minus 2. These are very simple, right? 12 minus 90. 90.76 minus 9.345. Okay. Another one is multiplication. Multiplication, we perform multiplication with star, like 2 asterisk 3, meaning 2 times 3. 2 times 3, 6. 5 times 9, 45. 0.5 times 222. 111. Okay, multiplication. Next one is division. Next one is division, like 12, 21, or 12 divided by 4. 4 divided by 2. Negative 90 divided by 43. Right? So these are all operations, arithmetic operations. One thing you must have noticed is whenever we have a float data, here, here, here, here, or whenever we have division, in these cases, the result will be floating data. Otherwise, the result will be integer. See? See, here, no float data, no division, integer. Float data, result will be float. Float data, result float data. Float data, result float. Even one of them float, although the result is 111, which is an integer, still, because there is a float data present, the result will be given in float format. Division, float. Division, float. Division, float. Okay? Like this. 3.0 plus 1. Result, 4.0. 40 divided by 7. Division is present. Okay. So these are the basic, these are the 4 basic operations, right? 4 basic operations, arithmetic operation, right? I think everybody knows these parts. Everybody in here already knows these parts. You must remember it, right, from school, right? Now, moving on to something called floor division. Floor division is when you take integer after division. See, whenever we have a division like this one, whenever we are performing a division, 12 divided by 4, 3.0. When you perform it in floor division, we only take integer part. We don't care about here. In this one, we only take integer. Don't care about the rest. Here, only take the integer, -2. The rest, we don't take. This is called, here also, only take division. Sorry, integer. We don't consider the rest. This is called floor division. Floor division. When you divide 40, this time we have double and 7. See, we are only selecting the integer part. Floor division is like this. When you perform integer of this, see, first you divide this number and then only select the integer part. This is what happens in floor division. See, if I copy this one, you can see both of these have the same result. Okay, this is what we call a floor division. Okay, a floor division. What else? What else? Let's see. Okay, like this. See, 22 floor division 7. Run 3. Same thing. 22 divided by 7. Here, if I divide 22 by 7, normal division, it will give something like this. If you are performing floor division, it's like floor division is like first divide this number and then only take the integer part, and then taking the integer part. This is what we call a floor division. This is what we call a floor division. Okay. So another operation we have is called modulo. What is modulo? So we talked about addition, we talked about subtraction, multiplication, division, floor division. Let's talk about modulo. Modulo is remainder. Oh, means remainder. For example, 22 modulo 7. What does it mean? It means if I divide 22 by 7, if I only do complete divisions, okay, only complete division, meaning 3 times 7, 21. I don't want to go to decimal point. I don't want to add the decimal point. Whatever is the last remainder after which I cannot perform any division is called modulo. Sorry, modulo. Yes, modulo is represented by this one, remainder, after which we cannot perform division. Okay, that's it. For example, let's look at this one. For example, we have 4 modulo 2. Run. See, what does it mean? Its remainder is 0. 4 divided by 2. 2 times 2, 4. Remainder is 0. See, remainder is 0. This is modulo. Or this one, let's see. 5 modulo 2. Run 1. If I have 5 divided by 2, 2 times 2 will be 4. Remainder 1. After this, I cannot divide it. I have to go to decimal. Okay. So this is our modulo, the remainder. The remainder, okay? Okay, great. Great, let's continue. So, and another one is exponential. Exponential. This is double asterisk. It's like power. 5 to the power of 2, 25. What does it mean? It means 5 times 5. 4 to the power of 3. It means, sorry, to the power of 3. It means 4 times 4 times 4. 16 times 4. 64. Okay? Or, or maybe if I say 4 to the power of 0.5. 4 to the power of 0.5. So 0.5, yeah. Whenever we perform power operation, whenever we perform power operation, exponential operation on on a decimal number. Okay. I don't know if you have mathematical background. How many of you guys have maths background? How many of you have? Can I get some confirmation if you have maths background? Okay. What about others? I see Miss Asia, Miss Julia, Hussein, Ilkin, Kubra Noor, Majid, Malik, Mr. Murat, Mustafa, Neil, Talha, and Umair. How many of you guys? Okay, you're good at maths. I mean, either you're good at maths or you have maths background. Any one of them. Whether you are good at maths or, let me rephrase it, I'll say good at maths. Now let's see how many of you guys say. Okay, Mr. Malik is also good in maths. Asa is also good at math. Okay, that's really good. Good. So, okay. So, see, whenever performing to the power of, it's like 4 to the power of 0.5. Okay, what does it mean? 0.5 is 4 to the power 4 to the power of 0.5 is 1 over 2. Whenever we have a fraction as a power, pi in mathematics, we change it to root. The denominator will come to root. 1 will come as power. 4 to the power of 1, root 2. It means square root of 4, which is 2. See? This is what's going on. Or if I say 8 to the power of 1 by 3. If I do something like this, see? What am I doing over here? What am I doing over here? I'm saying 8 to the power of 1 over 3. Denominator will come as a root. 3, 8 to the power of 1. Third root of 8 is 2. If I change it to this, copy, paste 2. See? It will be almost 4. The result will be 4. It's like 8 to the power of 2 over 3. It is like 3, 8, 2. 8 square, it will be 64. Third root of 64. See? 4 to the power of 3, 64. It means root 3 of 64 will be 4. Okay? Almost 4. Okay? Almost 4. What else? What else? What else? Okay. Julia also has maths background. That's nice. That is nice. Let's continue. Let's continue. Now, we can also perform mathematical operations. We can also solve mathematical operations. See, like BEDMAS or BEMDAS. Okay, whatever you want to call it. For example, if we have mathematical expressions like this one. For example, if I have something like this, I have, let's say, 4 plus 2, and then to the power of 4 to the power of, let's say, this If I say, let's say 1 times 2 divided by 2, and then once again divided by 2. Okay, just consider this scenario. Okay, you can also solve all sorts of mathematical operations and expressions in Python. In Python, like this. If I run it, see what's going on over here? Python is performing operations back to back. We can perform mathematical operations like this. Okay, see, first we have to clear the brackets. First bracket, 4 plus 2, 6 to the power of, we will start with innermost bracket. 1 times 2, 2. 2 divided by 2, 1 here. Here we have 4 to the power of 1 divided by 2. So now, once again, I have to clear this bracket. I have this bracket, I have to clear it. Inside this bracket, the first operation I have to perform is exponential. So 4 to the power of 1 means 4 divided by 2, 6 to the power of this one. So 6 to the power of 2. It means, right? So you can use Python to solve these types of mathematical expressions as well. Okay? These type of mathematical expressions as well. Okay? What else? Or maybe you can solve some questions like this one. What is the area and circumference of a circle that has a radius 7? Consider pi as 3.14. See, this is a mathematical question. This is just a mathematical expression or question. Our goal is to find the radius, area and circumference of a circle. See, I have a circle. Area, see, radius is 7. Pi is 3.14. Our task is to find area and circumference. What is the formula of area? It means the formula is pi times radius square. See, this is the formula of area of a circle. This is the formula for area of a circle, or the formula for circumference is 2 pi times r. See, it is as simple as this. We already have the value of radius. We already have the value of pi. Just put them inside the formula, run it, which radius. Just run it. See, now you have area. Area of the circle is 153. Circumference of the circle is 43. See, you can perform even these types of operation in Python very, very easily. Okay, very easily. Okay, or now I will give you another question. I'll give you another question. This is the question. Copy here, markdown cell. This time radius is 12. Okay, now I want you guys to solve this question. I want you guys to solve this question. Let's see. So let's see how many of you guys can solve this question. I want to see some. Okay, I think so. Let's see. You already have the formula, right? We already have the formula. We have the formula in here. Just change the value of radius from 7 to 12. Okay. Mr. Umair just sent an answer. He said area is 452 point something. Okay. Okay. We got two answers. Great. Great. One from Mr. Umair, another one from Ms. Let's see. Okay, Ms. Julia also sent her answers. Maybe you can take a screenshot of your page like this one. Just take a screenshot of your code, like maybe this part, all of it. You can also share the screenshots. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Let's see. Yep. Let me take this code. You can send her answers. Let's see. Radius 12. Great. Great. Run it. 452.16. 75.36. Thank you very much, Ilkin. Julia, Umair, and Ms. Neil. Okay. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Now, let's solve a couple more questions. For example, the question is find the hypotenuse of a right triangle with sides A equals 5, B equals 12. See, this is a little bit mathematical. I hope I'll try to make it as simple as possible. Okay, so there is a theorem called Pythagorean. Okay, Pythagorean theorem. In this theorem, it says if we have a right triangle, if we have a right triangle, like this. If we have a right triangle when this degree is 90 degree. Okay, when this degree is 90 degree, meaning the degree between this side and this side is 90 degree. Okay, when it is perpendicular like this on top of it. Okay, these are 90 degrees. Okay, when we have a right triangle and it says one of these sides is 5, another one is 12. Find the value of this one. find the value of this one. Okay. I saw two answers. One from Ilkin, another one from Umair. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem says that you can find this value, the hypotenuse, from these two. There is a formula. The formula is a square, one of these sides, square of one of these sides, plus b square, square of this one, will give hypotenuse square. It means if you square this one, it will give this one square. So what it means I'm declaring a variable. First, I have side A equals to 5, side B equals 12. Okay. I have two sides, side A, side B. Okay. And hypotenuse squared, let's see if possible. No, can I do it? Equals A squared plus B squared. If I try it, will it work? No. See, in our formula, hypotenuse squared equals A squared plus B squared, right? Hypotenuse squared equals A squared plus B squared, right? So if I want to find hypotenuse, I have to take square root of both sides. This two will get cancelled with this one. It means I am left with hypotenuse equals A squared plus B squared. Okay, so it means I have to take this one in square root, like this. Okay, so there are two options. This is hypotenuse square equals to this one. Okay, hypotenuse squared is, what is hypotenuse squared? 169. Hypotenuse is hypotenuse squared to the power of 1 by 2, right? 1 by 2. See, if you remember, we have hypotenuse squared. If I want to find hypotenuse, I have to take square root of it, right? I have to take it, hypotenuse squared. I have to raise it to the power of 1 by 2. When I raise it to the power of 1 by 2, 2 by 2 gets cancelled. I am left with hypotenuse. See, this is one of the ways. And my hypotenuse is 13. My hypotenuse is 13. Or there is another way as well. There is another way as well, right? Miss, I think Ilkin sent the result. Also, okay. See, Julia also sent the result. I have one of the side, second side. So if you want to find hypotenuse, our hypotenuse squared is side 1 squared plus side 2 squared, right? Side 1, side 2, or A squared plus B squared. If I want to find the original hypotenuse, I have to take it inside root 2. See, I'm taking it inside root 2. It will directly give me the hypotenuse. Thank you very much, Julio, Ilkin, and Umair. See, this is another formula. Let me copy the formula Ilkin sent. See, copy, paste it over here. This is another technique. See, directly the formula A squared plus B squared under the root. It is that easy. Okay, it is that easy. Okay, what else? What else? Or maybe you can also do something like this. Copy, paste. Here you can say, see, today we talked about this one. We said we can bring text as well as variable as well as number, all of it together, right? We can do that. So the hypotenuse the given triangle is, see, the hypotenuse of given triangle is 13.0. It is 13.0. Okay. So how many of you understood? Is everything clear? Up until now, is everything clear? Do you have any question? Let's see. Thank you very much. Meir, İlkin, Kubranur. Julia. Is everything clear? If it's clear, please react to this message. I want to see that you understood. If you didn't understand, if there is any specific part of it you want me to repeat, I can repeat it, but first, let me know if you understood today's session. Okay? Is everything clear about today's session? What about others? I see also Mr. Majid, Hussein, Asya, Mustafa. I see Mr. Talha, Mr. Murat, Malik. I hope everything is clear with you guys. But still, if you have any question, you can let me know, okay? Let's solve some more questions. Let's have some more revisions, okay? For example, I have this variable called z. The value of z is 5.99999. If I perform this operation, what is the result of this one? Okay, the result is 5. Okay, let's run it. 5. If I call z again, will the result, see, if I call z right now, what will be the result of this one if I call it? Is the value of z 5 or is it 5.9999? Which one is it? Okay. Why is it 5999? Why is it 5999? So you are saying the value didn't change. Yes. Omer, you're correct. We didn't assign, Julia says we didn't assign it. Ekin also says we did not assign it. Okay. So if I call it, it means still the value will be 599. Why? Because in order to make a change permanent, I have to assign it back to z. Copy, paste. If I see z equals If I assign it back to Z and then call it, see? Now the value changed. Okay. What about this one? If I say copy, paste, and on top of it, I want to apply float. And if I call Z, what is the result of this operation? Okay. Okay, someone says 5.0, 5.9, 5.0 again. Great. I see really good answers. Kubranur also says 5.0. Now let's see what's going on here. I have this number. And first I'm converting it into integer. It means I'm only selecting 5 here. I'm only selecting 5. And then after that, I am converting this 5 to float, meaning it will be converted to 5.0. And I am saving this 5.0 back to Z. See? What about this one? Copy, paste. If I run this one, see, this is a little bit tricky. What will be the result of this operation? Let's see. Okay, great. Okay, someone says 5.99. Ilkin says, Umair says. What do you guys think? What will be the result of this operation? Maybe you can try it for yourself. Maybe you can try it for yourself. Let's run it together. 5.999. See, there is a number. I'm changing it to integer, to 5, and then to float, meaning to 5.0. But see, I did not assign it back to 0. I just performed an operation. It is like saying like this. I have 2 pens. Okay? So it means z equals to 2. Okay? So what if I say, now consider these two expressions. The first expression says, what if I buy 2 more pens? And second expression says I bought, or I buy 2 pens. And the first one, see, it's like what if, okay? It's like an imagination. So it's not going to create any changes. It's not going to, the number of my pens will not increase. Okay, it's like an imagination. The second one is I buy it, I bought it. Okay, I assign it back to myself. I update my values. See, I used to have 2 pens. I bought 2 more. I'm updating it. I'm updating the value of z. In this operation, it's like, what if I had? What if I do these operations? Okay, it will not create a permanent change. Okay, okay. What else? What else? What else? What else? Uh, I will. I'm going to show you one more thing. One more thing. This one. See, if you remember, I told you if we have multiple operations like and see, if we have multiple operations and if I run it, Python is only going to show the last one. Okay, it's only going to show the last one. If you want to see all of it, if you want to see all of it, you have to use print function. See, for this one, I will use print. Last one will be printed in any case. See, here also, the last sentence will be printed in any case. I'm only using print for the previous ones. See, we have 5 printed and then 77. 5 printed and 77. What if we have one more expression like this? What if we have one more expression like this? If I say integer 3.14, if I run this one, what will be the output? What will be the output of this operation? Let's see. Okay, great. Ilkin, you're very active. I like it. Umair is also very active. Julia. Julia says only first and last will be printed. Kubranur, Neil, all of you guys are very active. That's good. Only first and last one. Let's run it. See, only first and last one will run. It will be printed. Why? Because pi. So if you have multiple operations, you have to use print. This one also print. See, now they will be printed. Okay. Here I will give one question. I will give one question. The question is this one. Let's perform this last operation and then we can leave. We have 24 divided by 2, let's say, minus 2 to the power of 1 times 8 divided by 2 and then divided by 2. If I run this operation, what will be the result? Let's see. We are turning the Python lessons to mathematics. See, this is an arithmetic operations. We are performing exponential, division, multiplication, subtraction, right? All of it at the same time. Oh, Miss Neil is very fast. Kubranur, very fast. I congratulate you guys. That's really good. That's very impressive. Let's run it. 4.0. It's good that you remember the result also has this one. Why? Because we are performing division. This one, 12 minus 1 times 8, 8. 8 divided by 2, 4. 2 to the power of 4, 16 divided by 2. 12 minus 16 divided by 2 will be 8.0. 12 minus 8.0 will be 4.0. Okay, I think this much is enough. This is more than enough. This is more than enough. I hope you guys didn't get bored. I hope today's session was informative. You enjoyed it. If there is any question whatsoever, please let me know. If there is any question you have, any part of it you didn't understand, Ms. Julia also says for that's good. Is there any part of today's session that you want me to repeat it? You want me to talk about? Okay, great. So let me share the notebook with you guys. I hope you're enjoying these sessions. Thank you very much, Mr. Omer. By the way, I will also check your codes, okay? During the lesson, it's not possible, but now I will check. Okay, so let me add this bookmark. Every notebook that we use, by the way, every notebook that we use, I will add it over here also. Here I will bookmark it, okay? So first session, second, today's session, third session. So far we have had 3 sessions. You can get these notebooks, practice it yourself, maybe add some more notes if you need it, okay? Let me also add it in the free channel, the third one. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until tomorrow, have a good day, have a good time. Please practice these parts, okay? Otherwise, you'll forget them. Otherwise, you'll forget them, okay? Have a good time, have a good day. Bye-bye, take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you very much. Let me add this file, bookmark it over here.